The Veldt by Ray Bradbury.
George, I wish you'd look at the nursery.
What's wrong with it?
I don't know.
Well then.
I just want you to look at it, is all. Or call a psychologist in to look at it.
What would a psychologist want with a nursery?
You know very well what he'd want. His wife paused in the middle of the kitchen and watched the stove busy humming to itself, making supper for 4. It's just that the nursery is different now than it was.
All right, let's have a look.
They walked down the hall of their soundproofed Happy Life home, which had cost them $30,000 installed. This house, which clothed and fed and rocked them to sleep, and played and sang and was good to them. Their approach sensitized a switch somewhere, and the nursery light flicked on when they came within 10 feet of it. Similarly, behind them, in the halls, lights went on and off as they left behind with a soft automaticity.
Well,
said George Hadley. They stood on the thatched floor of the nursery. It was 40 feet across, by 40 feet long, and 30 feet high. It had cost half again as much as the rest of the house.
But nothing's too good for our children,
George had said. The nursery was silent. It was empty as a jungle glade at hot, high noon. The walls were blank and two-dimensional. Now, as George and Lydia Hadley stood in the center of the room, the walls began to purr and recede into crystalline distance, it seemed, and presently an African Veldt appeared. In 3 dimensions, on all sides, in color, reproduced to the final pebble and bit of straw. The ceiling above them became a deep sky with a hot, yellow sun. George Hadley felt the perspiration start on his brow.
Let's get out of the sun,
he said.
This is a little too real, but I don't see anything wrong.
Wait a moment, and you'll see, said his wife. Now, the hidden odorophonics were beginning to blow a wind of odor at the 2 people in the middle of the baked beltway. The hot straw smell of lying grass, the cool green smell of the hidden water hole, the great rusty smell of animals, the smell of dust like a red paprika in the hot air. And now the sounds. The thump of distant antelope feet on the grassy sod, the papery rustling of vultures. A shadow passed through the sky. The shadow flickered on George Hadley's upturned, sweating face. Filthy creatures, he heard his wife say.
The vultures.
You see? There are the lions, far over, that way. Now they're on the way to the waterhole. They've just been eating, said Lydia. I don't know what.
Some animal.
George Hadley put his hand up to shield off the burning light from his squinted eyes.
A zebra? Or a baby giraffe, maybe?
Are you sure? His wife sounded peculiarly tense.
No, it's a little late to be sure, he said, amused. Nothing over there I can see but clean bone and the vultures dropping for what's left.
Did you hear that scream? She asked.
No.
About a minute ago?
Sorry, no.
The lions were coming. And again, George Hadley was filled with admiration for the mechanical genius who had conceived this room. A miracle of efficiency selling for an absurdly low price. Every home should have one. Oh, occasionally they frightened you with their clinical accuracy. They startled you, gave you a twinge. But most of the time, what fun for everyone. Not only your own son and daughter, but for yourself when you felt like a quick jaunt to a foreign land. A quick change of scenery. Well, here it was. And here were the lions now, 15 feet away, so real, so feverishly and startlingly real, that you could feel the prickling fur on your hand, and your mouth was stuffed with the dusty upholstery smell of their heated pelts, and the yellow of them was in your eyes, like the yellow of an exquisite French tapestry, and the yellows of lions and summer grass, and the sound of the matted lion lungs exhaling on the silent noontide, and the smell of meat from the panting, dripping mouths. The lions looked at George Hadley and Lydia Hadley with terrible green-yellow eyes. "Watch out!" screamed Lydia. The lions came running at them. Lydia bolted and ran instinctively. George sprang after her. Outside in the hall, with the door slammed, he was laughing and she was crying, and they both stood appalled at the other's reaction. "George!"
Lydia! Oh, my dear, poor, sweet Lydia! They almost got us! Walls, Lydia. Remember, crystal walls. That's all they are. Oh, they look real, I must admit. Africa in your parlor. But it's all dimensional, super reactionary, super sensitive color, film and mental tape, film behind glass screens. It's all odorophonics and sonics, Lydia. Here's my handkerchief.
"I'm afraid." She came to him and put her body against him and cried steadily. "Did you see? Did you feel? It's too real."
Now, Lydia,
"You've got to tell Wendy and Peter not to read any more on Africa."
Of course. He patted her.
"Promise?"
Sure.
"And lock the nursery for a few days until I get my nerves settled."
You know how difficult Peter is about that. When I punished him a month ago by locking the nursery for even a few hours, the tantrum he threw. And Wendy, too. They live for the nursery.
"It's got to be locked. That's all there is to it."
All right. Reluctantly, he locked the huge door. You've been working too hard. You need a rest.
I don't know, she said, blowing her nose, sitting down in a chair that immediately began to rock and comfort her. "Maybe I don't have enough to do. Maybe I have time to think too much. Why don't we shut the whole house off for a few days and take a vacation?"
You mean you want to fry my eggs for me?
"Yes," she nodded.
And damn my socks?
"Yes."
A frantic, watery-eyed nodding. And sweep the house?
"Yes, oh yes."
But I thought that's why we bought this house, so we wouldn't have to do anything.
"That's just it. I feel like I don't belong here. The house is wife and mother now, and nursemaid. Can I compete with an African Veldt? Can I give a bath and scrub the children as efficiently or quickly as the automatic scrub bath can? I cannot. And it isn't just me. It's you. You've been awfully nervous lately."
Suppose I have been smoking too much.
"You look as if you don't know what to do with yourself in this house either. You smoke a little more every morning and drink a little more every afternoon, and need a little more sedative every night. You're beginning to feel unnecessary too."
Am I?
He paused and tried to feel into himself to see what was really there. "Oh, George!" She looked beyond him, at the nursery door. "Those lions can't get out of there, can they?" He looked at the door and saw it tremble, as if something had jumped against it from the other side.
Of course not.